Hey everyone, it's me, the Fireman. I've said at the start of every video I've made on this channel that I'm trying to reach financial freedom before I turn 30 years old. And your plans might be totally different, and that's totally fine. Either way, my hope is that every single video I make on this channel helps you achieve your financial goals, whatever they are. But what I've realized recently is that I've never actually shared my step-by-step plan for retiring at 29 years old. And if I'm going to help you achieve your financial goals, I should probably detail how I'm planning to reach mine. So that's exactly what I'm going to explain today. This is my step by step plan for retiring at 29 years old. And if you stick around until the end, I'll even explain why I'm certain that this plan will fail, and why I don't really care. My plan for retiring really consists of a few different components. In my very first YouTube video ever, I shared that there are just three things you need to be financially independent. The first is income. I'm roughly relying on the 4% rule, which says that you need 25 times your annual expenses to be financially independent. For me, I'm pretty frugal, so that number is just $500,000. That means no matter which way you cut it, I somehow need to make $500,000 before I turn 29 years old. The more I make, the easier that will be. But hey, don't get discouraged here. I've shown before that even if I made just half my salary, I could still probably plan on retiring before I turned 40 years old. So your income isn't everything. Still, there's no getting around the fact that the more you earn, the easier it will be to reach financial freedom. So what does my earnings plan actually look like? Well, right now, I earn approximately $100,000 a year, and I'm hoping that before I turn 24, I will have seen a $20,000 a year raise. Fingers crossed I see another $20,000 a year raise before I turn 27. These are just approximations, and there's a couple of really important qualifiers. First up, these projections completely ignore inflation. I'm hoping that my salary keeps up with inflation, so instead of trying to guess what it will be, I'm just factoring it out. The other hugely important detail that I'm glossing over is retirement accounts. My company has some very strong incentives to contribute to my 401k account. And last year, I maxed out not only my Roth 401k, but also a Roth IRA. But this does complicate things. For example, how much I contribute and to what type of retirement account I contribute to has some big consequences on my taxes. That's because contributions to a traditional 401k account defers taxes until I withdraw that money. But contributions to a Roth 401k account are taxed before they go in. Also, while getting the employer match for my contributions is basically free money, it might actually make early retirement a little harder. That's because the government has lots of rules about when and why you can withdraw money from retirement accounts. And if I can't withdraw that money at 29 years old, then it won't help me retire early. I don't want to get into that level of detail in this video. Just make sure that when you're making your own plan for retiring, you take into account some of these finer details. But we need to move on to the next big component of my plan for retiring at 29, which is my savings plan. I don't need to just earn $500,000 to retire early. I need to save $500,000. That might sound easy on my salary, but is it? Now, I obviously earn a great income, which makes retiring at 29 actually possible. But the only reason that I make that much money is because I live in an insanely expensive area. Apparently, where I live, the cost of necessities alone for a single adult is $57,000 a year. So, how much of my income can I actually save? Well, I definitely don't spend $57,000 a year. In fact, for this year, I set the goal of living on less than $20,000. Taxes, which for me are around $30,000, are another big cut out of my income. But after living expenses and taxes, I still should have around $50,000 a year that's going right into my wallet. Plus, each time I earn a pay raise, I should be able to save even more than that. Instead of letting my expenses go up with lifestyle inflation, I'd rather just save that extra income. That's incredibly important because while living frugally means I can save more of my money, it also means that I need way less money to retire in the first place. If I spent over $50,000 every year, there was no way I would be able to retire on just $500,000. That's why I pay more attention to my savings than any other component in my plan for retiring at 29. Focus on frugality first. Let's move on to the third component of my plan for retiring at 29, which is investing. No matter how much I earn in my 20s, I'm going to need my money to keep growing in retirement. There's just no way that I'll earn so much money that I could live off of my nest egg alone. And using my current projections, I expect to have saved around $490,000 before my 30th birthday. And that's pretty good, but I'd like a little more to safely call myself financially independent. That's where investing comes in. If I can earn a 5% inflation adjusted return on all of my earnings from now until 30, I should have $577,000 instead of $490,000. That's a little better. That extra $77,000 over my target might help me retire even faster, but it's also a nice buffer to have for any miscalculations or changes in my plans. And by the way, as a big believer in the efficient market hypothesis, all of my money is in large market index funds and exchange traded funds. I'm not trying to time the market or do anything fancy like that. What that means is that I spend very little time on the investment side of my plan for retiring, but it's still really important to keep track of where things are going. So that's my step by step plan for retiring at 29. Earn a good salary, spend as little as possible, and let investing take care of itself. It's a lot simpler than a lot of people think. I'm not creating businesses or picking up side hustles. I just work one day job and stay extremely frugal. And before I get into why my plan for retiring at 29 won't actually work, I wanted to tell you why this video is so important to me. This video, and really the entire Running on Fire YouTube channel, is a resource that I wish I had had. When I first discovered the financial independence retire early community, I didn't have a channel like this. The problem is, most financial influencers only share their story retrospectively. And while it's awesome to hear how Graham Stephan became a millionaire at 26, I wish he had chronicled more of his journey. The same goes for my favorite financial independence bloggers. Mr. Money Mustache only started blogging 5 years after he'd already retired, and the bloggers at Millennial Revolution only started blogging after they began traveling the world at 31. That's why I started my own financial independence blog and this YouTube channel in the very first year of my career. I wanted to show people what it takes to reach financial freedom as I'm doing it myself. So if that's something that interests you, hitting the subscribe button will give you alerts about my future videos. And if you hit the like button, it'll spread this video to more and more people. It all really helps. Okay, so now it's time to tell you why I'm absolutely certain that my plan for retiring at 29 won't actually work. What I mean is that a plan like this makes a lot of assumptions about the future. Variables outside of my control, as well as future decisions of my own, will have a big impact on whether this plan actually works. But I can't see the future. I don't know when exactly I'll get promotions or how much they'll be for. I also don't know how my expenses will change as I enter different stages of my life. My investment plan is the most uncertain because I have no idea how the market will change. I'm hoping it will be up, but there will be times that my wealth will probably decrease. There are also some big decisions that I just haven't made yet. For example, while I'm happy with my current job, I have college classmates that are making even more money working at companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. If I changed companies, I could theoretically earn more. Now, in terms of my savings plan, my goal is to keep my spending pretty consistent. But that said, my priorities and my circumstances might change. As for my investment plan, I have to decide on my own risk tolerance. While the 4% rule of thumb says you need 25 times your annual expenses to be financially free, I might decide that I want to play it a little safer. So if I know one thing for certain, it's that my plan won't go according to plan. But that's okay. What plans are meant for is to get you moving in the right direction. The last thing I wanted to say is that your plan for reaching financial freedom shouldn't look like mine. It should be whatever works for you. I'm just hoping that by sharing my own plan for reaching financial freedom, it'll help you build a good plan for reaching your own financial goals. And if you have any questions about my plan for reaching financial freedom, let me know in the comments. And I've already said that the most important component of reaching financial freedom is keeping your expenses super low. And that's why you need to watch this video next, because in that video, I explain how my spending compares to the average American. Spoiler alert, I spend a lot less. So check that video out next, and you'll see how I spend so much less than the average American and why I can retire so many years faster. See you next time.